You know, I think one of the most important things a person can be in this life is accountable. If you make a mistake, own it. And whoo-wee, did I make a mistake a week ago right here on this channel when I told you apologies to the other 18 markets in the Ontario Hockey League, but all eyes should rightfully be on Southern Ontario and the Midwest Division, the first place battle, a home and home with the Kitchener Rangers and the London Knights. I told you this is going to be a showcase for the league and it's going to be great. You should be paying attention to it. Well, it turned out to be anything but a showcase. Instead, it turned out to be a gong show. The London end of that home and home on Saturday at Budweiser Gardens had more than 100 minutes in penalties and 6 fights in one game. Some teams will go through an entire season without fighting 6 times. We saw 6 fights in one game last weekend between the Kitchener Rangers and the London Knights. I'm reminded of a quote from Conn Smythe, who once famously said, "If you can't beat them in the alley, you can't beat them on the ice." And the London Knights certainly showed last weekend that they could beat the Rangers on the ice because they won both times, and in the alley, should they so choose. Now, here's the thing about Conn Smythe. He was around this game about 100 years ago, and we like to think that we have evolved a little bit. But maybe it's still a tactic that can work. Clearly, it can help you win hockey games. If maybe you don't match up skill-wise with the other team, you can get a little bit more physical. If they can't match the physicality, and you can get them off their more skilled game, you might have a chance for success. Remember what Mike Tyson, the former heavyweight champ, once famously said: everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. And oh boy, did the Kitchener Rangers ever get punched in the mouth last weekend. So I guess it's a way that you can still pick up important points. And we know how much more important those points are and how much harder they are to earn at this point of the Ontario Hockey League season. So here I am in the Sault this weekend, and I'm thinking back on the last time the London Knights and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds played one another, and boom, another quote pops into my head. This one from Hounds coach John Dean, who after the game between the Knights and the Hounds here in the Sault said they came in here and tried to drag the game into the gutter. Well, Bryce McConnell Barker, the captain of Sault Ste. Marie, scored a goal in that game back on December the 10th and was immediately leveled by an elbow to the head. The player who delivered that elbow, Sawyer Bolton, suspended for 10 games. Well, Bryce McConnell Barker has not played since. It's 15 games and counting with no McConnell Barker for the Hounds. Is that an example of dragging a game into the gutter? I don't know, but that's how the head coach of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds felt. The head coach of the Kitchener Rangers said last weekend that the London Knights players were trying to injure his players on the Kitchener Rangers. And after that game between the Sault and London up here in the Sault forward Julian Fantino promised there would be a response the next time the Hounds and the Knights met. London's management was quick to jump on those comments, saying it could be deemed as threatening to say something like that and not promoting the kind of values that this league is trying to push. Fair enough for sure, but I wonder this. After a number of those fights we saw last weekend in London, London players skated past the Kitchener Rangers bench pointing as if to say, I'll take on you and you, I'll take on all of you. Who's next? I wonder if that could in any way be deemed as threatening and not promoting the values that this league is trying to push forward as it evolves. Here's one other thing to consider. As successful as this game plan obviously is, because the London Knights find themselves in first place in the Ontario Hockey League, but Bryce McConnell Barker has not played since December the 10th after taking that elbow to the head. Trent Swick, a 20-goal scorer for the Kitchener Rangers, is out this weekend, injured last weekend versus London. And Philip Machar, a first-round pick to the National Hockey League, also injured last weekend versus London and also out this weekend for the Kitchener Rangers. You can connect those dots however you want, but those are the facts as they present themselves this weekend in the Ontario Hockey League. I'm Farwell. It's Friday, and we'll see you at the rink, unless that rink is Budweiser Gardens in London. We call that the Octagon now. It's your move, Ontario Hockey League.